And welcome in. We are here for event number 3 to kick it all off. We've got an exciting match coming up right here for you. Chicago Untouchables and the Philadelphia Founders. I'm Nick England, joined by Matt Prosser. You're watching the NVA. If you're not familiar, this is the National Volleyball Association. We got a great match up here for you. We're about to get right underway, so we're going to go through the lineups just as quick as they're hitting the court. On the side of the Philadelphia Founders, again, expansion team, 1-3 right now.
Yeah.
They need a win, but we're seeing no Nate Reynolds, all-star middle blocker out of Springfield. That's going to hurt them here today.
Drastically in search of that victory to help them in the standings, but with a huge missing part through the middle, it's going to make their challenge a little bit more drastic this morning against a very physical Chicago Untouchables team.
Let's see here on the side of Chicago. We're going to see on the right side Andrew Kohut, number 22. Moises Lopez, number 1, is going to have the hands to start us off. Daniel Venegas, the constant outside, number 6. Josh Blair, the all-star middle, number 24, coming in. Then we're going to see Ramon Matos. Looks like he's going to be playing on the outside. Or actually, Andrew Kohut playing the outside today. Matos taking it up on the right side. And then, of course, Grant Molesky, number 9, in the middle. Middle number 9 on the side of Philadelphia Founders. Chris Paczynski in the middle. We're going to see Jeff Nelson, number 44, on the outside. Opposite of him is going to be Michael Lewis, number 19, taking the libero jersey. Jordan Robinson, number 16. Piotr Namiotko on the right side. Setting will be, I believe, Ron Dunn. There he is, number 5. And the second middle is going to be what I believe is a new addition this weekend. I think that was Brennan Davis I saw.
Number 8, Cohibe Anderson.
Oh, there you go. Cohibe Anderson. Thank you for that. If you're not familiar with the league, this is going to be a best of 5 as we get underway. First 4 to 25, last 1 to 15, win by 2. Chicago versus Philadelphia Founders. Ron Dunn to serve. Float taking, good pass to the outside. Block back in the cycle, good cover. Venegas to Kohut. Kohut off the block, out of bounds. Chicago Untouchables draw first blood.
Yeah, something to talk about here, Nick, before this match really gets into it is this Chicago Untouchables libero wearing number 4. Bregan DeMarco, not their normal starting libero, so don't be surprised if the Founders serve him a little bit here in this match to test him.
Definitely a good point as Nelson takes first ball. A little bit of a tempo miss there from Dunn. Molesky resets, not able to be picked up. A little bit of chaos on the side of Chicago. Nelson to serve. Nelson had I would say a good event 1, but we really saw him shine. Event 2 came out, really carried a lot of the offensive load for this team. Founders, as we mentioned before, a little bit understaffed on some of their offensive weapons this weekend, but definitely not short-staffed on the side of Untouchables. Molesky scoring early there out of the middle.
Well, that's going to be something that the Untouchables have to utilize throughout this match, is running their offense through the middle of the court, Nick. Getting this 6'9" Grant Molesky activated early on, like you like to say.
We got a lot of UCLA young bloods coming in here. Grant Molesky, another one, graduated 2 seasons ago. Excited to see him continue to succeed and excel. But man, Founders a little bit at a loss as that play progressed. Dunn leaves that one short back row, puts that one in the net, and Ramos will continue Ramon Matos will continue his serving run now. Serve goes long.
Hey, our ball here, our ball here. Let's go, boys, make a difference. First ball, float.
High ball goes to the pin. Venegas with a nice chip down the line. Very, very controlled swing there to beat Namiotko down the right-hand seam there.
A lot of weapons here for Chicago Untouchables offense. Our first look at Daniel Venegas that time.
Out of system. Piotr goes for the big swing with a bigger block. Kohut, Blair, Venegas waiting Nice triple there from Untouchables.
Really disciplined move, getting all 6 hands in front of the hitter, shutting down all the seams, and scoring that quick block point, Nick.
Piot tries to track that one down. Founders definitely with the slow start here, but Chicago wasting no time. We talked a little bit about this as a crew beforehand, what we expected to see, and man, the service pressure was something we talked about for Chicago. They are executing brilliantly on that right now.
They certainly are. The jump float service caused a little bit of problems, so they go to the libero that time, and they get the side out.
Rule number 1, avoid that off-color jersey.
You just got a service ace off of the front, the outside hitter.
Yeah.
Why would you change it up and serve the libero?
I would have to imagine it was just poor execution, but either way, you know, you get the feedback very quickly in terms of why you don't serve guys like J-Rob. Tight pass comes over. Now Founders getting their chance to score some points.
And that, Nick, highlights that serve once again to the libero. You just scored 2 points on the team. Basically a service strategy error results in the next point as an overpass.
Yep. Someone we want to keep our eyes here on, you mentioned Cohibe Anderson, 20-year-old that has, there's an ace again.
And now it's 3 straight points for the Founders.
But Cohibe Anderson, 20-year-old, never played NCAA, just one of those raw guys that just wanted to get involved and was getting recruited to play some D1 ball on the East Coast and said he'd rather just, you know, find his way through the NVA instead.
6'4" out of Delaware Technical College.
Yeah.
Not necessarily the powerhouse of East Coast volleyball.
Yeah, as far as I know, that's actually not even a volleyball-related move. That is just where he was at school.
So perhaps a little diamond in the rough. Only time will tell.
We'll have to see. Excited to see him cut his teeth here today. Kohut to serve. Good pass by Nelson. One-handed set. And there's kind of that raw connection, as you can see, for Cohibe. There's a handful of other middles that get that similar set, and we're looking at a highlight reel.
Well, Ron Dunn had to go up real high, really had nowhere else to go. Anderson was just a tiny bit late on that play.
Kohut serving with a 3-point lead, 8-5. Gets a hold of J-Rob that time. Well, earlier we preached avoid the black jersey, but showcasing that, hey, add a little bit more fuel to the tank on that one and it's no problem.
Well, Nick, this situation's a little different. Andrew Kohut, the left-handed hammer, puts the big jump spin serve on him instead of a jump float from the middle blocker.
Kohut sends that one long. Kohut played his college ball at Belmont Abbey before heading over to the PVL in India, playing some of his first international volleyball. Was over there on a different team, but at the same time as Matt Hilling of your AC Stunners. Out of system ball, high off the hands, Daniel Venegas wheeling and dealing continuously on the left side. That's that second kind of chisel ball, reading the line, and he's abusing the blockers right now.
Just good awareness to realize that Ron Dunn, the setter, is a little bit of a better matchup to go down the line than challenge cross court that time.
Kisses the tape on the way by. Nelson answers back in kind. A triple block, no problem. Finds the 5-6 seam. A little bit of a miscommunication there on the expectation of what's being defended between that block and the defensive scheme for the Untouchables.
Just a really good swing, though, from Jeff Nelson off the net. It was a little bit inside, and that's where the mix-up was. The block chased him out to the line, and he was able to go hard cross court.
Anderson with his first serve now. Goes for the jumper. Easy off speed taken by Blair. Blair gets the result of that and attacks the smaller hands of Nelson. Good help from Founders. They've identified that Blair is, of course, the offensive power here from Chicago. But
yeah, two blockers in front of him, not able to stop him. No hands were over the net. They were just up high, and that's why the ball went between them and the net.
Blair looks for the corner, misses it. Little discussion here if they want to go for a challenge. Take this moment once again to explain our challenge system. There are 3 challenges for each team for the duration of the match. You can challenge any one of the given plays, see if you can get it overturned on a review through our camera system. And if you get it right, you keep your challenge. You get it wrong, you lose one of your 3 challenges. And if and when we get to the 5th set, you have only 1 challenge. So whether it's reduced from 3 or 2 over to 1, or if you're out already, you have 1 awarded. Same rules apply. Make it, take it.
And they don't carry over to the next match.
That is correct. Could you imagine stockpiling?
There's no savings account for your challenges if you don't use them.
Right. Cross.
Nice block touch to slow that down by Piot. Namioko returns fire, but Ramon Matos gets it done. Doing a nice job holding down the left side block there.
A lot of first-year NVA players here on this Chicago Untouchables team, making their presence known early and often.
Yeah, they did a massive rebuild on this team. That was something we talked about a little bit. Several of these Founders players were actually on the Chicago team last year. So a little bit of a grudge match here. Some of the old friends competing across the net. But Andrew Lee, coach and owner of the Philadelphia Founders, was helping to run and manage this Chicago team remotely last year. And that's what kind of led to him getting his own team this year, put him back in his backyard, expand that East Coast game. So excited to see what he's done so far with the expansion of this team.
Certainly.
Nelson continues. Nice pass from Venegas. That means it's a set to the middle. Chaos ball tight. Reset. Another chance here for the Founders. They go to the back row. Nelson blocked. Done to Namioko. Reset. That has got to come up. That's an automatic reset. Hate to see that one fall, but the blocking prowess there from Chicago stays true.
Yeah, just a bit unfortunate that time. The attack has to get covered. You really can't overemphasize or speak to it enough, Nick. You have to cover your hitters.
Especially on ones like that, where if it goes up off the block, that's got to come up.
Exactly.
Nice pass from Nelson. Paczynski attacks the double block, and that's going to go his way. Game ball touch.
Ball touch.
That's exactly what we want, baby. All good. We hustle. We get touch. Hey, let's get our ball back, fellas. Some mobile screen.
Short serve. Good system there from Chicago to find a swing. Founders roll shot over, kept alive. Backside to Kohut. Miscommunication between Namioko and Dunn. And that one's going to find some court and maintain a 3-point lead here for Chicago. And once again, we're going to see that big troubling float serve.
Well, let's see if he targets the libero or the front row outside hitter this time, Nick.
Yeah. Flip the coin and we'll find out. Targets the outside, and Namioko misses wide and deep.
Great pass, though, that time from Lewis. Just misconnected on that right side attack as we go into our technical timeout.
That's going to be Molesky serving right after that. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Well, a quick little breather there, Matt. We'll have to see, is that going to be enough? Are they getting a chance to talk about it, or is it time for some changes? Not sure what personnel the Founders might have, but they've got to make some adjustments because Josh Blair, we haven't even said his name yet today in terms of offensive contribution, and wow.
That's just a peek at how physical this Untouchables team is. Josh Blair just flies through the air and crushes that middle attack wrist away.
Molesky to continue serving. Oh, big swing, and Kohut and Blair, the dynamic duo, get it done. And by my count, I think that's terminal block number 4 or 5 for Chicago. They've been getting the better part of these Founders hitters for sure. Well, we talked a little bit this morning about our predictions, and we thought Nate Reynolds would be in attendance here today, but without him, you can see that there's not. We were hoping to see the Blair versus Reynolds matchup.
Yes.
But without him, they're going to need someone to find a way to slow Josh Blair down because they're not even really using him right now, and he's got 2 kills. And it's still a problematic offense.
Well, time will tell here if the Founders can pick up on the offensive system from the Untouchables. They run that slower set through the middle, which the timing for the block and defense side makes it a little bit more tricky to slow him down as they did right there.
Yeah, the St. Francis University grad, Josh Blair, just it's one of those things that feels like a drone strike. He's just up there kind of surveying the land, picking his spot.
You see the set go up, and then he follows it.
Another great triple block, slowing things down. Kohut on the backside, and Kohut finds that corner. Chicago looking like a well-oiled machine right now. This is one of those things we've been waiting to see from them. We've seen a lot of good pieces. They just haven't quite put it together all at once.
Yep.
They certainly are right now. Andrew Kohut has been absolutely delivering all match long, whether it's hitting D-balls, blocking, but his serving pressure has been unrelenting. We'll see if he's able to continue here out of that timeout. Just misses, and that's a coach point for Andrew Lee there. A much-needed sigh of relief, still down by 6.
6 points at this point at this stage of the game, Nick, is going to be very challenging for the Founders to come back. They've got to create some momentum on their side now.
Absolutely. I mean, this is one where you start building that momentum for set 2 almost. See if you can get anything going your way. Ooh, count your lucky stars. Good look from Moises Lopez. They want to start establishing that BIC. They have not used too much there, but missed connection. But again, when you've got a 6-point lead, you can do whatever you want.
That's all just timing, trying to get the connection out of the back row. This is an important side out, though, now for Chicago.
But if you're missing short in the net, zero pressure for Chicago to perform at all. Easy bailout. Just too many unforced errors right now from the side of the Founders. Venegas with a big serve, good pass. And Nelson with an opportunity to score, and does so. Those are the swings we saw so much from him in event number 2 that we want to see here today.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, that's a great swing off of the untouchable defender and out of play, but absolutely Philadelphia has to utilize Nelson more on the left side of the court.
Float serve, off the chest, coming over. Chaos for Chicago and a free ball opportunity. To the outside, Nelson swings high. That set feels like it's a little too tight to get that swing.
Yeah, Nick, I couldn't agree with you more. We had the perfect angle to see that set drift towards the net, being just a little bit too tight for Nelson to deal with as he missed that one wide.
21-15, Josh Blair has the full green light to go after his serve here. No concerns with the scoreboard at all. Nice pass by Jordan Robinson. Nelson uses the block there, a little off balance as Moises Lopez. And once again, Jeff Nelson continues to really be the only scoring member of this Founders offense.
Yeah, and good awareness again from Nelson, realizing that the setter was blocking in front of him to his line. Don't go angle against the 6'8 middle, but choose to go against the 6'1 setter block.
Both he and Venegas doing a nice job identifying exactly what's in front of them. The service pressure from Founders, their errors definitely compounding. And at this point in the game, you've got to play the points. Cannot be missing the serves. Especially bringing Kohut front row now as Moises Lopez, the setter from Chicago, to serve. Paczynski, kick dig,
kick save.
And that one goes down. Venegas less than pleased to see that point end early.
Early nomination for kick dig of the year right there.
That was nice. Especially identifying Paczynski on that. Looked like a three ball. Hard to tell from here whether they're pushes or threes sometimes, but some good spacing and a nice read. DeMarco nails that pass. Looked like the block went off of his hand. There was indeed a touch. Founders ready to challenge that one immediately if they needed to, but everyone saw that one pretty well.
Everyone saw it. I think we got an admission to the touch as well from the Untouchables. So some good sportsmanship coming into play.
Nelson with the ace. We just talked about the importance of finding those serves, create a little bit of pressure, a sense of urgency, and attacking where you've got that stack up between the setter and the front row outside. Nicely done, and that's going to force a timeout from the Untouchables, down by 3. Plenty of space to work with, but they want to slow this one down now. We'll be right back. Well, Founders mounting a bit of a comeback here at 19-13, Matt. We had the conversation at this point in the game, perhaps too much to overcome, but definitely an opportune time to start building some momentum for set number 2. And right now we see Founders starting to do that. A good side out there from the Untouchables, a nice swing from Kohut on the left side. But still, a little bit of a breath of fresh air, but again, no surprise, all off the back of Nelson.
Right, that was a great run of some points to draw within 3, but the timeout and then the side out puts Untouchables just 2 points away from taking the set.
Covered by Dunn, Paczynski to the outside, and there's a Tool, only one blocker, Molesky nowhere near that side of the court. Not exactly sure where he was, But that's a great advantage taken there from Founders. Gotta love when you see the big man in the middle step in, get a nice quick little set to the outside there.
Always trying to get that assist.
Venegas, the smooth operator, continuing to excel on the outside. Statting his 3rd kill by my count. All of them kind of that off speed, just attacking line or that outside hand from the block of the Founders. Perfect pass opportunity in the middle. A little bit of an off speed there, but a kill all the same for number 8, Kohibe Anderson.
Good to see Rondon still trying to find that connection, even at set point for the opposition, realizing that he's got to find that connection throughout this match to utilize it.
Nice serve, but a better pass by DeMarco. Backside to Kohut, attacks the solo block, and that's going to be a point. 25-21. Chicago Untouchables take set number 1. We'll be right back after a side swap to get set number 2 underway. Don't go anywhere.
Side swap.
One, two. Perfect. Okay. Unmute him myself. And then me.
We're about to get back under action here, but we're going to hear a little bit more from the side of the Chicago Untouchables and Haley Henderson on the sideline. Haley, take it away.
Thanks, guys. I'm here with Coach David Deucer. Last time I spoke with you, you had only had a couple of practices with your team before the last event. Do you feel like you know the personalities and abilities of your players a bit better?
The last event and then another half a dozen practices or so have given me a much better idea what I can anticipate, what each guy brings to the floor, what their strengths and weaknesses are, so I can kind of put them together in a better position.
Your front row at the net, killer on offense, killer on defense with blocking. What was your approach going into this weekend?
Really our approach is just execution. We're just looking to run our offense, stay in system, and serve well from the baseline.
Awesome. Sounds good. Well, thank you very much. Back to you guys.
It's good to see, and we saw Ramon Matos being used a little bit on the right side in replacing of Andrew Kohut, who does battle some shoulder injuries periodically.
Yeah.
And we were very impressed with him. He wasn't seeing a massive offensive load, but everything we saw was he had a high ceiling, and we were excited to see more of him.
Yeah, very dangerous from the inline also.
Yes,
Yep.
And so it's been very interesting to see them now switching him to the outside. They've identified, get as many of our best players on the court.
Yeah.
So he's been doing well. You know, there's a select number of guys that can play left and right. They can pass, and they can make those big swings. So to see him step in, play some great middle back defense, that's been a nice kind of little tweak on that side.
Yeah, and as you see teams kind of develop throughout the season as well, especially with a new coach coming in and understanding, trying to find a way, like you said, to put his best players in their best positions as a unit on the team.
Yeah. So, you know, we also see Zachar Pasha, one of those middle blockers that's currently not on the court, but he's been someone that really brings a lot of experience as well. It just speaks to the fact that they have Molesky as well as Josh Blair as their starting all-star duo.
Yeah.
So just so many options and a welcome bit of new faces for the Chicago team that has struggled to find a bit of a purchase and a sense of regularity over the last 2 seasons. So welcome upgrades for them. Also, DeMarco doing a nice job there. We didn't see too many serve receptions from Bregan in the libero jersey, but he was spot on when we did see that. Passing, I think it was, if I'm not mistaken, it was at 100%. Oh no, it's passing an 83% positive reception rate, so good for him. But back underway, a good pass from Robinson. A presumptuous dump there. I think that one got read a bit like a book.
Well, yeah, I mean, you got to give credit to Kohut there, realizing the setter is in the front row. He's running across the net, gets his hands up and shuts it down on that setter attack.
Jordan Robinson, the receiver of that serve once again, and now Molesky getting involved.
Now back-to-back block points for the Untouchables. Very strong blocking performance to start set number 2, Nick.
Don't have the exact terminal block count. We're seeing 8 block points. That's combined up. You know, a double block earns you 2 block points between the people involved, but that'll be at least 10 block points now. Kohibe with a good cover. Another block. DeMarco recycles that ball. Kohut takes a swing. Looks like he caught some hands, and it's called by our R2. Confirmation there. Steven Shepard, one of the NVA veterans on the floor there. Didn't miss a beat getting that call. The Chicago blocking is impressive right now. Kohibe Anderson. Nice swing there, attacking the right side of the court, that little 10-foot line tee.
Again, Ron Dunn activating him through the middle. He's got to have a presence with his middle attackers, no matter how long they've been playing together. But that's a nice wrist-away swing there from Anderson.
We've talked about that from Dunn. His willingness, he's one of the setters in the league that is most willing to set his middles, especially at the tail ends of the set. Even if they're down by 3 or 4 like we saw last time, he's willing to use them. He understands the middle is it's the gateway to most teams' offenses. So love to see that reliability.
The Founders also don't have a whole lot of big presence on their back row offense as that attack goes off the forehead and up into the crowd.
Kohut took that one right off the face. No surprise, once again, Nelson, the answer for the kill there.
But just go back to that point in terms of offensive systems, Nick, and you know this really well, being the head coach of the San Diego Wild, is that you have to have an offense that runs offensive opportunities through the middle of the court, whether it's front row or back row, right? Which means you have to have a quality middle blocker attacker, but also your outside hitter running the big.
Yep.
If you don't have that big hitter, which right now the Founders don't really have, you still have to utilize the front row middle, but you've got to move them around to try to take the block away from your primary attackers.
Yeah, and especially it's great points, Matt, and that's where you'll run into what we call a bunch block. If you're not spreading them out far enough, that's where you're going to be running into double blockers basically in every situation, and that's on the Chicago Untouchables to be making those kind of adjustments, but they seem to be doing it quite well. The serving pressure is also one of those things that really goes hand in hand with blocking a lot more than a new viewer might know. Because if you're serving well and they're out of system, it gives you a chance to double and triple block, pin to pin, really see that and get a nice blocking system set up.
Yep, 100% agree with you. Tough serving from the inline to try to get your opponent out of system gives your block and defense the advantage. Like this, right on cue, Nick.
Wow. You know, Matt, sometimes you got to work for it, and sometimes the guys on the court just deliver. A nice serve from Molesky out of system and the triple block waiting. Also, good adjustment. Set 1, we talked about how Nelson in a very similar situation scored because the block of the Untouchables too far to the pin. That time, recognized inside set, all 6 hands surrounding that ball.
Well said, Nick.
Free recycle. Lewis takes second ball. Nelson goes off speed this time, but Venegas waiting. And that time, a double block waiting.
Now that time the connection through the middle for the Untouchables wasn't quite there. Blair stayed off, but that set just a little too tight for the high flyer.
Tip over the top, picked up by Dunn. Tight ball, Kohut goes to recycle, but a good slowdown by Nelson. Backside to Namioko. Tight pass to the middle. Josh Blair, the all-star dunk. Jordan Robinson and Ron Dunn trying to work together to keep that one alive, but just too much heat.
Right now for the Founders, Nick, they've got to get Namioko going, their opposite hitter, and overhead it seems like the connection's just not quite there. The set may be a little bit too low for Piot. Might need a little bit of a higher, slower set just to get some extra wood on it.
Yeah, I think that's one of those things that even when he was statistically not having some of his better matches last event, the teams were having to respect him. When he's really getting the sets he wants, you have to put 2 blockers on him, or else he will really start to produce. And it's one of those things that he's a guy that will draw those doubles, and that's where we saw the outsides, Lewis and Nelson, really producing because blockers were having to respect him. And right now, that's not quite the case. Tight ball set to the outside, but Venegas continues to just wheel and deal. He is seeing the side of the blocker from the Founders just way, way too well, and they are not ready for it. 9-4, 5-point lead. Chicago looking like they are not to be slowed down by this Founders squad.
Yeah, Daniel Venegas just so experienced. He's got all the shots in the book, really. Whether there's 2 blockers, 3 blockers, or no blockers in front of him, he still finds a way to get the ball down. Unfortunately, that time, that jump serve gets blasted into the net.
Big sigh of relief if you're the Founders. If you scouted Venegas at all last event, he was regularly going on 3 and 4 service run, 3 and 4 point service runs, really putting some teams in bad spots. Founders does not have the room to miss the serves like that, though. A float serve missed by Paczynski is just a bad look right now. Untouchables has missed the last 2 serves, but they're still up by 5 points.
Yeah, the Founders have to put pressure on the Untouchables from the inline, or else it's going to be a very, very uphill battle for them.
Kohibe Anderson, those sets are still low. Touch called. And there's going to be our first challenge of event number 3. Grant Molesky letting his guys know, like, I absolutely did not touch that. A touch was called by Elvin Otley right there, our line judge. Kind of waffled a bit. I see what he was maybe seeing from his angle, but I think that missed by a fair margin.
Yeah, we'll see. We're going to go to our video challenge system to get the correct call, but apparently there's our R2. He is in communications to our replay official upstairs in the booth.
Yep.
Who will review the video evidence. And it has to be irrefutable, as we like to say, to overturn the call.
And this is always what I call the gimme, because again, you need irrefutable, like you said, irrefutable evidence to overturn it, but your players should know if they touched it or not. Very rarely are they just disconnected from that fact. And so if Molesky turns around and says, I didn't touch it, hopefully now there's enough video to clearly show that and make it an obvious thing.
Absolutely.
But you should know that you didn't touch it.
Right, and you don't want to be that player that did touch it but says you didn't touch it and lose a challenge on it as you talk to your coach on whether or not to challenge the call. So it's, you know, a little bit of the game within the game sometimes, right?
Yeah, and I mean, we're both, as coaches of teams, that's something we are looking at systems. What personnel adjustments do we need to be doing? Sometimes in the moment, you don't see that touch. So a lot of the times you're relying on the feedback from someone that was on the court. You trust them more than your own read frequently.
Certainly, yeah, certainly. You do have to ask your players. You look at the guys, your reserves that are, you know, watching as well. You try to get some confirmation from some guys and then make it as best of an educated choice as you can to utilize that challenge or not.
And that's one of those things, you know, that I think I can't say it was something you had to learn a whole lot of, but I spent a lot of my time on in my youth, you know, fighting for that outside spot. That was kind of that third and fourth guy.
Yeah.
But it was always, when you're on the bench, that was your role, is how are we going to beat the team? What are we not doing right now? Is there that touch? It's just find any way to help the team score the point.
Right.
And at this level, every guy on all these benches has pretty much been an all-star on their most recent team, and maybe they're not anymore for the current squad.
Right.
But how can you contribute?
I think you make a great point for any young NVA fans that are out there watching volleyball. If you're not on the court playing, you can still contribute to your team's outcome.
Well, that's what we talked about, the irrefutability of the call right there. Maybe not enough of an angle to showcase it. But Grant Molesky, again, saying he didn't touch it. So, you know, a little bit of a disagreement between the system and what the Chicago players know to be true. They need to recenter, though, because at this point they still have a 4-point lead. You don't want to turn this into a 2 or 3 point run needlessly.
Right, and with Piotr Namioko on the inline now for the Founders, he can go on those runs, you know, but for sure the Untouchables have to come right back with a side out.
Well, it's the name of the game. You do your best to train and account for this, but you got to center it and dial it right back in. Sometimes calls you don't like happen, and that's true in any sport at any level. Sometimes you'll just see something that you don't agree with, but trust our refereeing crew. Out of system, Kohut on the D ball, high, deep, and too deep. Looking for a touch, but he sent that one well over the top of the block.
Well, now they got to really refocus here. Take a deep breath. Can't give up more than 2 points now after that lost challenge.
Namioko hammering a ball, but a perfect pass. Ramon Matos blocked back by the setter, Ron Dunn. We haven't been able to talk enough about the blocking of the Founders, making themselves known and heard and felt right there.
Now Ron Dunn, the setter, obviously any setter loves to get a big block on the outside hitter, and that was a huge point for the Founders.
Matos with a good pass. Molesky blocked back, thrown down, and that's a high-level play from Lewis. I remember back when we were all 17, 18, really getting that bounce in our step. You saw that overpass. You saw money bags. You wanted to highlight it, but at the higher level you get quick redirects, quick throwdown. That's the name of the game. Founders doing it brilliantly. And hey, we talked about the warning signs there. You got to side out quick.
Yep.
All of a sudden, quick run. That's a timeout. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. More coming your way.
Nailed it.
Well, Matt, you left us with that nugget saying, hey, Piotr Namioko can do it from the service line, and they better stop it now. And once again, they must be listening to the broadcast. Piotr Namioko, in turn, out of the timeout, hammers an ace to the one sideline.
4 straight service points from Namioko right now.
DeMarco, tight pass, jammed down, and once again, no need to hit an overpass when you can find the court. Heads up play by Lewis, throwing that one into zone 4, shallow, uncoverable, and now for the first time, Chicago Untouchables lead 11-10.
I would consider adding your opposite end of pass, or maybe make a substitution to slow down the momentum, but Namioko let him off the hook there.
Well, we've talked about our desire to see Namioko producing a little bit more offensively, whether it's his timing, connection with Ron Dunn, whatever it might be. But it's nice to see that when you're tossing your own ball on the service line, you can really be the only one contributing, and does a nice job getting himself going there. They're going to try to rely on him once again.
Oh, nice dig, though.
Wow, DeMarco missed set. Kept alive only a moment longer and goes over. Wow, Bregan DeMarco with a stellar dig down the line.
Real big lost opportunity there by Chicago, not able to counterattack that one successfully. That was a great dig for their side.
But we see it right away. Ron Dunn knew Namioko was warmed up. Straight back to him.
It's one of those things as a setter, you got to know who your hot hand is, right? And obviously with Namioko going off of that 5-point service run, you got to keep feeding him the ball overhead.
And that's what's kind of a difficult thing is that in your head when you're training, some of those guys over time develop a certain role in your head about what their expectation, what their set load is.
Yep.
But at the same time, like you said, when someone gets hot, you make that adjustment now. You don't wait to say, oh, should I increase their load? No, start setting them almost every ball until they kind of cool off, ride that streak.
You ride them. Yep.
And so good adjustment by Dunn. A nice point scored out in transition there for Chicago on the back of a missed Bick connection. Lewis had to just kind of tip that one over. And once again, Founders struggling to find out-of-system swings with pace.
You know, the Untouchables have to get back on track with their block and defense here. But Nelson comes through going high off the hands and out of play.
Nelson continues to excel for the Founders. Jeff Nelson currently sitting on that's going to be 5 kills if my count's right, with only 1 hitting error, hitting right around a 75%. A nice contribution from the outside.
So far so good from the outside hitter for sure.
Venegas, good pass. Backside, Kohut chisels off the block. So much hitting vocabulary for these pins on the side of Chicago. Venegas and Kohut doing a nice job.
Hitting vocabulary, Nick. That's one I haven't heard before. I like it. It's exactly correct. I like to call it court awareness. Once again, challenging the smaller of the 2 blockers.
Yep.
But you got to give Kohut some credit for that one, going back to the line on that attack.
Great pass by Lewis. Nelson throwing it down. Josh Blair takes second ball. Backside Namioko, low set. Good set by Moises to save that and keep it alive. Michael Lewis, too much heat. And if you can't handle the heat, get out of the kitchen, buddy.
So that's 2 plays on the defensive side of the ball for the Founders that Namioko and Lewis have not been ready to dig the attack.
Yeah.
And at this point of the stage of this set, that's massively important to play solid, disciplined defense in the backcourt.
Molesky just long. That's one of those things as an outside, Matt, I always hated. When you start seeing those 6'8" and 6'9" middle blockers that hit that float serve, it comes from such a high point of contact. That thing, you just feel like you're digging it with your chest half the time. So anytime you don't have to pass that, a nice little sigh of relief.
Exhale, right?
Good pass from Matos. Kohut off the net. There's the dig from Lewis we've been wanting to see. Giving Nelson a chance. A little bit of chaos on a bad touch from Blair. And kept alive. Another opportunity for the Founders. Block touch to slow that down. Lopez to Venegas. Another tip. Chaos ensues. Namioko gets a chance. Another tip. Whoever wants to take this one to the bank, the option is yours. But there it is. The block of the Founders slow down the first swing of the rally. Maybe that's why everyone was tipping.
There was a little bit of patty cake going on in that rally. A lot of tips over the net, but finally Venegas goes aggressive, but he gets shut down by the block of the Founders.
15s apiece. Really nice to see the Founders answering back here with a little bit of grit. Good pass. Kohut, easy money right there. When the passing is in system, the kills are all too easy to find. A great kill for the right side.
I'll make the storyline of set number 2 has been a much closer battle between these 2 teams, given that 5-point service run from Namioko just a few moments ago.
Overpass. Blair, tight ball. And that's, oh, I don't know about that.
Ooh.
I don't agree with that call.
Ooh, questionable call there from our first official. This is a non-challengeable call.
Right.
So the point's going to stay with the Untouchables. No real conversation coming from the coaching staff, but that's a big swing now, a 2-point lead for Chicago off that.
I like Paczynski going up for that ball. I think that he made a really good move there.
I thought that ball broke the plane, but apparently our first official disagrees with me.
Kohut with a good ball. There's a nice system, Bick. And that's going to go down for a point. Jordan Robinson unable to handle that one meaningfully. For everyone at home to catch you up, Matt and I are having a conversation over here with words I think that maybe doesn't fill the viewer at home in. So that ball, what Paczynski got called on, was over. If any part of the ball breaks the plane of the net.
1% of the ball.
Yep.
If 1% of the ball breaks the plane.
Then he can go after it and touch the ball. However, if no part gets over, as Matt has made
0%.
clear, 0%, then it is entirely on the Chicago Untouchables side, and they have priority to play the ball. So the call there was that no part of the ball broke the plane, and Moises Lopez with Chicago has priority on the ball. So Matt and I are saying we think that at least 1% got over. Paczynski made a good play, but again, not a challengeable call. But that is the rule as written, so we just wanted to clarify a little bit more what Matt and I were having the same conversation. Sometimes we get a little wrapped up in our own world, so bringing you along there.
Thanks for that clarification, Nick.
As long as I don't have to explain the difference of
Eloquently put.
Yeah, as long as I'm not the one explaining inside-outside pursuit on the pins, as we know I'm just incapable of doing after however many years. We'll take that. Founders are going to be down by, it looks like 2 here after another missed serve. Chicago has had quite a few missed serves this set, but again, when their offense and blocking has allowed them to have a nice little buffer and a lead, you're allowed to have some of those missed serves. Oh, Ramon Matos scoring from the outside. In-system pass by Venegas means the entire block from the Founders getting sliced and diced, looking everywhere, but not sure where to be. High ball, middle of the court. Lewis gets an opportunity and takes advantage of that opportunity off the block of Moises Lopez there.
Lewis has been relatively quiet on the left side in that 0-2 position for the Founders. That's a nice opportunity that he takes advantage of.
Namioko, the hero from earlier. Oh, that one feels bad. At this point in the game, you're hoping to get even just 1 or 2 serves out of him. Missing on serve number 1.
Very aggressive toss that kind of got away from him. Definitely wants that one back if he could.
Tight ball. And once again, we're just seeing those, you see those two-handed quick throw redirects. They're just very, very prevalent. But so is a timeout call when you're up by 4, or in the case of the Founders, down by 4. We'll be right back as set 2 heads to the conclusion. Don't go anywhere. Well, Matt, we're back in the action. A 4-point lead that had been erased earlier from the efforts of Namioko serving has just redeveloped in just a few points. So Founders need to find a way out of this one. Low set to the middle. They find Venegas. And there's a new middle blocker here on the court for the side of the Founders. That's number 20.
We have a net violation called against the Founders at a very pivotal moment here in this game.
#20 is Anthony LeBlanc that has made his appearance and has currently replaced Kohibe Anderson. I think it's Colby. I think we've been reading an I as an L. Yeah, it looks like Colby Anderson. Apologies for that, buddy.
So we've got a challenge coming in here from Philadelphia. The original call on the floor was a net violation against the Founders, but the challenge coming in is that the ball was in fact down on the floor prior to the net violation taking place.
Yeah, and that's one of those interesting order of operations things that kind of things happen pretty quick, and so you just see the the need to really make sure. Sometimes you'll see like some of those block touches when a ball goes off the block touch as well. It's still live until it hits the ground, even if it feels out of play. So you got to make sure you stay disciplined. Sometimes guys follow through with their swing into the net.
So the ball is not officially dead until the ball makes contact with the floor.
Yes. So, and this is also one of those things that Founders hasn't used they have not yet used a challenge. So maybe this is Coach Andrew Lee using it. It's kind of a coin flip one. Maybe it's not with a lot of knowledge that they're making this. But if they get this point back, it'll really help them. They can kind of keep that energy, and they're going to be within striking distance.
And it's also a bit of a timeout as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Gives him time to talk to his team over there, discussing some strategy. And, they may get lucky and get this one reversed, although I don't think there's going to be evidence to do so. I think it's a good opportunity to slow it down, talk to your team, discuss what you want to do maybe a little bit differently in set number 3, regardless of the outcome of this challenge.
And we get the confirmation net was confirmed. Our refereeing crew on top of that one. And that's going to feel, Matt, a bit like a nail in the coffin there. 23-18, 5 points with, right here at the tail end. So
the business end of set number 2, Nick, as I like to call them. And, 2 points away from taking it. It's going to be a very difficult mountain to climb for the Founders here, especially with Don in the front row as the setter.
Jordan Robinson battles with it. Namioka on the D-ball. Kept alive, but that one goes long after a quick game of ping pong or pinball. Take your pick.
Or volley.
Volley? Okay. Well, I think you might have the best description, but I was going for
a bang-bang play, as they say.
Robinson once again the target. Lewis with a tip. Outside the equipment was the net. So there's a point before we take it away at 25-18, point for Chicago. Right there was a net by Lewis. However, it was outside of the equipment, which is the red and white candy cane or the antenna. And that means that net is allowed. That is not a net violation. So he was clarifying midpoint. I was outside the antenna. So they let the play continue. And that's going to be a quick break here. We'll see if set number 3 wraps it up. Chicago Untouchables with their first 3-set win of the season. Or will Founders answer back? We'll have to find out shortly. Stay tuned. Well, that was definitely an authoritative win there for the Chicago Untouchables. Matt,
Yep.
now we're going to head into set number 3 if they can take it away. But before we get there, we'll see if the Philadelphia Founders have hatched a plan to mount their comeback. We're going to take it to the sideline with Haley Henderson.
Timeout, you told your team that they were emotional, that you wanted them to use their emotions a bit more. What did you mean by that, and how do you want that executed on the court?
Yeah, when we play flat, we're just flat. No energy. I mean, we just don't look like a good team. We don't look like the way we practice. It's hard to play up when you just feel down. So I think if you have the energy, you feel like someone's got your back, then I think as a team we just come together and then we just push ourselves to be a better team.
Sounds great. Thank you very much. Back to you guys.
I mean, after going down, you hear the emotional side of it all, and it's maybe that's what it is to get them a little bit fired up. My thing is it's just not set selection, it's point error selection. We're seeing just missed serves on serves that are definitely not difficult enough. We're seeing some great plays that are followed up by just small errors.
Right.
And you need to give guys like Jeff Nelson, who is mounting your offense on his shoulders, you need to give him as many errors as possible to score those points. Other guys eating them up, not scoring points, is just...
I think the word you're looking for here, Nick, is consistency on the side of Philadelphia, and that's something that they've been lacking. They had a brief lead there in set number 2, their only lead of the match thus far, after that nice run of serves from Namioko, who's starting set number 3 on the bench, by the way. And that's going to make for a very interesting dynamic here in set number 3 for the remainder of this match.
Yeah, when you're down 2, it's kind of all bets are off. You look for something different. So Ron Dunn actually hitting. And they're going to be, a little bit short on personnel here, which is going to mean a new setter with Brendan Davis, number 13. He goes out to Lewis. First connection goes their way. I'll be curious to see with, Ron Dunn, not someone I ever associate with as a hitting setter. Several other teams, you look at Tanner Maxwell from the Tyrants. He's someone that can do that. There's a variety of guys that, they can kind of play both sides of it, but he's not someone that I associate that with. But either way, see if he can get something done, maybe bring a little bit of a different look to the team, and we'll have to see.
I mean, that's such an important key to professional men's volleyball is if you're down 0-2, you have to make some changes. You've got to see if you can change up the dynamic, the matchups, the personnel, just to see if you can get something going on your side. Now you see what the risk is when you have 2 setters on the court. But, hey, we'll see if it works. And like you said, you want to see some emotion. We're seeing it from the Founders now.
Ron Dunn smacks himself in the forehead there. That was just a total habitual move. But again, good communication. He saw the dig and just immediately made that step. He hasn't quite yet shifted the mindset that Brendan Davis is setting. But either way, good communication, and you have 2 great setters on the court.
And it's very interesting that they start in the rotation with Davis as the setter in the front row, which is a unique starting rotation for a team.
Unique is a friendly word. A unique choice.
Strategy, Nick. It's all about strategy.
I think we're just not privy to the information.
I'm sure Coach Andrew Lee has got a method to his strategies.
One would hope. Jordan Robinson, once again the target. Ron Dunn with his first swing. Wear it. Finds the chest. And you know what? There's a funny way to actually get those emotions a bit higher. When you get a guy that's maybe not your normal look for hitting, everyone gets a little bit more loosey-goosey. They enjoy the point. And, hey, success. Colby Anderson also not starting this time around. We are seeing Anthony LeBlanc reprising his role, number 20. I think Colby just not quite finding that connection. I think some of the sets were a little too low for him. Another physical jumper, but look for something different. And Founders ready to use that bench. Serve just misses Lewis.
Some early pressure now here from the Founders. Carrying over to an early service error as well from Graham Molesky.
The one player we haven't really seen from the Founders bench is Ryan Schickling, assistant coach at Long Island University, LIU, the D1 program on the East Coast.
I had a chance to speak with him a little bit before the match, and he's kind of recovering from an ankle injury. So he's frustrated by the ability to not participate in this match on the court. Ryan, a bit of a gamer, right? Hates being not involved, but you can hear him helping his teammates out from the sideline.
Yeah, he said he's at about 70%. So if you see him that means that there is a determined call that basically whatever outside is worse than Ryan Schickling at 70%. So if you see that move, that's kind of where the depth chart is at. But again, Schickling, one of the moves out from the Las Vegas Ramblers. He's won a bronze, silver, and gold with that team, so definitely an experienced player. Founders continuing to succeed here, though, up 6-4. Bregan continues to excel, doing a nice job. Really a tale of two different stories here. Jordan Robinson, normally a very consistent libero, but Chicago is serving him. He is the target, has been all match. On the other side, Bregan DeMarco really still continuing to pass. An excellent clip for the side of Chicago.
Yeah, for Chicago, I'd like to continue to see them run a lot of offense through the middle. Blair has been basically unstoppable throughout this match.
Miscommunication on the blocking move there from Founders. I'd like to see anytime Kohut's hitting a ball, get 3 blockers up there.
Especially in an out-of-system play like that one. Libero had to step in a set, really only one hitter as an option. You got to get 3 blockers in front of him.
Nice pass from Lewis. Lewis gets the option, a nice recycle. Robinson goes to Dunn. Dunn chips it down the line. There it is, a continued rally means an error from the side of Chicago. Maybe that was part of the plan for the Founders. Get Dunn in there, minimize errors, maximize opportunities. 7-6, still 1 point lead for the Founders. Serve left short. Chris Tuchinski really struggling with his serving so far this match.
He's been jump float serving, going with that hybrid. He's missed a couple of those. Now a jump spin serve with the lead at the moment, but that one found the net as well.
Josh Blair, on the other hand, finding a lot of success. And Ron Dunn off the hands. Backside to Kohut. Kohut off the chest. Brennan Davis, too much heat on that one. And this is something I think that we saw a little bit at event number 1 when the Founders, they do a great job extending rallies, finding digs, but if they can't find someone to get that kill, this is where they really struggle to just end getting a point earned for themselves. Good adjustment from LeBlanc in the middle.
Nice high hands attack, going high and deep. Good block move, but Molesky just gets blasted off his fingertips and out of play.
That's right here, boys.
Just long from Ron Dunn. 9-8 now for Chicago.
Miss serves. You can't miss back-to-back serves when you're down 2-0. Very important time now for the Founders.
Nice pass from Lewis to the middle. They go back to LeBlanc. Bregan ready for it, and an opportunity for Kohut. And there's going to be a net from the side of the Founders. Doesn't matter, net, no net. Too much heat from the backside of Kohut. Moises Lopez to serve once again. That had some movement on it. Good pass and an opportunity, but the tips are just not going down. Founders has to start swinging, Matt. It is just, they're getting picked up like the easiest balls on these tips.
There's a word I'm thinking of, Nick. Starts with an A. It's called being aggressive. You have to be aggressive. You cannot tip the ball over the block and expect it to drop, especially when you're down in this set and in the match.
Good pass by Lewis. Now he goes to swing. Too predictable. This is where, as you get into that, you know, when you're not passing well and you become the only option, the block's just going to be waiting. They've got to just start cleaning it up all around, but maybe too late. We'll have to see. Down by 4, Philadelphia Founders call a timeout. Chicago Untouchables well on the road to a 3-0 sweep. We'll see how this one concludes right after this break. to say I have been very impressed with this iteration of the Chicago's lineup. They've kind of had some different setters between Noah Ricchetti, Moises Lopez, had a couple different outsides. They've looked at a couple different middles, and I think that this is the most complete-looking roster. I've been very impressed with Bregan DeMarco so far, so a nice adjustment from him as well. And this definitely looks like the most polished version of this roster that we've seen.
Well, like we spoke about this morning in our pregame show, just the Untouchables are an extremely physical team, right?
Yeah.
They work really well together. You can see the communication, and you can see how well they are on the blocking side of the ball with 14 block points so far through the match. I think that's a very big testament to what the coach is doing with this group, but also just how physical they are on offense as well. Carries over throughout this match, and even when they've been tested here early in set number 3, they've been able to persevere and figure out how to get the lead and how to maintain it as the Founders continue to miss way too many serves here in set number 3.
Yeah, it was one of those things that last year Chicago, kind of their mantra was they had half their team in Chicago, half in Philadelphia, and you're seeing a lot of those Philadelphia guys on the court now. But it was a big focus, Chicago, when they rebuilt the team this year. They wanted 100% Chicago talent unless it was someone worthy of being brought in from out of town, because they wanted to see the homegrown talent like Molesky getting it done. The only non-Chicago native is Daniel Venegas, who is up in, I believe, Michigan, and comes down periodically to train with the team. But again, is someone that's played for. Oh, he's gonna hate me for this. I cannot remember. He was a national team member for. I don't remember if it was. I can't recall, so I don't want to call it wrong. But he's played for the national team before for his native country that is eluding me at the moment. I'll have to get that one. Colombia, that's what it is.
There it is.
He's played overseas in Argentina, Chile, Bolivia, Greece, Cyprus, Israel, Croatia. So he's been a well-seasoned pro, and that was why he was a no-brainer for them to bring him in. Misses that one uncharacteristically wide, but no sweat off the back of Chicago, still with a 4-point lead, 15-11.
Well, the Untouchables definitely want to wrap this one up here in this set. They do play tomorrow against Puerto Rico, so that could be a very good test for them as well. But they don't want to dilly-dally, take care of business, in and out, get it done, and then give themselves some good quality rest in preparation for their next match.
This was our 10 a.m. match. Our next one, it's every 3 hours, so we're going to have our 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and that's going to be the Matadors as they take on
the Utah Stingers.
There it is. Thank you. You heard my trailing question. Ooh, nice kill there from
That's what we
Jeff
do for
Nelson.
one another. We're partners here.
Yeah.
Partners here in the broadcast booth.
A little pick-me-up,
Yep.
you know.
Same goes for our third and fourth members.
Yeah.
Who, unfortunately, Noah Chest is not here, but we've got the, very well-equipped Haley.
Yep,
on the
Haley's
sideline.
been awesome. She's going to be here all weekend long. Excited for the insights and seeing her continue to grow with the staff. Shout out to her. And Ira Thor will continue to deal with his presence, I suppose, as another member of our on-air crew. All jokes
Working hard
aside.
over there, getting his statistics ready for the next match.
Yep, he'll be joining me during that next 1 o'clock. Kohut to jump serve. Leaves this one long. And again, Chicago continues to miss some serves, but really, when you hear us being less critical of their missed serves, when you're at +4, +5, you can kind of just continue to side out at a 70% rate like they are right now.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really matter. Someone will find a serve every now and then.
They also know that they're not going to get a ton of service pressure. Maybe Nelson right now for the Founders, but the rest of the team really struggling from the end line. As that one goes into the net. And now, Nick, this is really a questionable time for the Founders as we see number 9 coming in, Ryan Schickling, to replace Nelson. So the Founders, they don't play tomorrow. They have the day off. They play again on Memorial Day, Monday, where they take on the Las Vegas Ramblers. That's going to be a very challenging task for them. They really have to find themselves here and create a good, solid game plan to get ready for that match.
Definitely agree. That is a very uphill battle. And I think the substitution here is that they're putting him in back row. I wouldn't be surprised when he gets back to the front row that they switch this back.
Certainly,
but
I would agree with that.
He's someone that's played libero for the Ramblers for years as kind of one of their backups. So they're looking for his defensive prowess and look to help maybe alleviate some of the service pressure, get something started. But I would be surprised if he stays front row.
So we have a out-of-bounds attack being called by our linesman on the far side of the court, saying that the Kohut attack went outside the antenna, but now we're going to get a challenge come in from the Untouchables.
And so for some clarity here, the way that this rule works is the antenna extends invisibly to the ceiling. So sometimes what gets really confusing is even if that ball gets outside the antenna and you hit it high, if, again, 1% of the ball goes over that invisible line, that ball's out of bounds. It would have made contact with the antenna had it gone all the way to the ceiling. So that's what our line judge there called, kind of up in that ethereal space above the antenna. But decided Chicago Untouchables not agreeing with that call.
So you're saying the airspace above the antenna is owned by the antenna?
Yeah.
Much like real estate.
Real estate. Yep, that's exactly right. We always talk about the mental real estate. Antennas real estate to the ceiling is not talked about enough.
Estate.
You know, so it's an under discussed point. But we'll see here. Again, Chicago still has 2 remaining challenges.
And what will be interesting to see is if we have the camera angle, right, to in fact catch this ball traveling over the top of the antenna.
Yeah,
I challenge booth.
I think right now, if I'm not mistaken on the count, we have about 11 challenge cameras on the court. So you got to hope that everything has the right angle. And that's sort of why we talk about the irrefutable evidence to overturn. Sometimes the angle just does not prove it. We don't yet have one of those nice Hawkeye systems with, what is it, something like 36 cameras that put together
36 cameras, 4 crew members, about 5 crates of computers.
Yeah.
It's a lot of equipment for that one.
They have cameras embedded in the ceilings, things like that, and that's where you get that nice international, what is it, a graphic that displays.
Yeah.
So not quite there.
Not yet.
But it will be called a replay, meaning that was in fact not out. So there's no point to be awarded, but Chicago successful in their getting the continuation of rally in the form of a replay.
Yes. Whoops.
Well, Chris Pachinski proudly puts one in the court. Unfortunately, no whistle blown.
The service
to
ace will not stand. It will not stand because there was no whistle to initiate the serve, as our R2 was clarifying the official scorekeeping system. So those of you keeping track of the challenges at home, Chicago retains that challenge because they did technically win the challenge on the previous call.
Wow. Josh Blair, haven't said his name enough, finds where he misses the court.
Violation is called against the Founders, and that has got to be a bit of a backbreaker.
Man, you are fighting for the point that he misses that swing and just giving it away, but you can tell how much respect everyone has. If they're going into the net after it, they know just how hard they're working to slow that down.
Yep.
Oh. Big serve, but that looked over for sure. The last one, we didn't agree. That one.
Yeah, that one was definitely over. You blocked the setter on that one. Molesky got up and over. That was clearly, again, we've got the best position to see that along the net line here in the broadcast booth, but that was clearly over the net and blocking the set.
Here's an interesting sub. So that's going to be Piotr Namioko replacing Brennan Davis. So Ron Dunn will now retain the setting position.
And this is what I was expecting to see Coach Lee do at this point of the set, utilizing both setters to go to the opposite hitter to come in, but he gets used off the block and out of play.
Maybe too little, too late. We'll see if a bunch of these kind of like little tech uses of players, if they can make anything happen. But again, we're just not seeing
5 points away. The Founders have 3 hitters through the front row now, which is definitely an advantage to the previous lineup they had, but Nelson's still out with Schickling in through the back row.
Lewis tips again and picked up once again. I've said it once, I've said it again.
How many times?
Tipping.
Stop tipping the ball over the block. You've got to reach high, aim for the fingertips, and attack almost up towards the back wall or the ceiling and try to find fingers and let that ball go out of bounds.
Yeah, the tip is a great use when you've already established yourself successfully as a hitter, but when every single swing feels like it's a tip, that off blocker is peeled underneath, sitting there waiting, toasting some marshmallows over the campfire. But we'll have to see if there's any adjustments for the Founders to make. Only 4 points left on the runway. Quick timeout. We'll be right back. Well, just a quick breather. We're going to have to see if Moises Lopez gets stopped. He's been very successful stringing together some service runs today. Lewis goes for a still off speed, but finds far more success. Kohut not able to find a dig.
No reason to panic yet if you're a fan of the Untouchables. They've got a comfortable lead here in set number 3.
Back set, off the hands, and that's going to be a good point there. Ramon Matos.
Too many weapons for the Untouchables today, offensively speaking. They've hit the ball at a really high percentage. The Founders' blocking and defense just really has escaped them as well.
Yeah, Ryan Schickling also staying front row here. Ankle is definitely feeling it. Good pass from Jordan Robinson. Colby Anderson, a much-needed breath of fresh air. Still a low set to him, it feels like, but good speed there. Nicely attacked.
Just need more time in the practice gym, finding that connection. Ron Dunn still utilizing it. Got to respect that.
We always talk about it. Into the set, rolls around. Ron Dunn looks to the middle. Chris Pachinski on the court now. Expect to see a lot of sets going to him if the pass is there. Moises Lopez completely loses the handle on that one. Very uncharacteristic, just freebie altogether. That was bizarre.
The bump set, yeah, you said it. Just kind of got away from him that time.
Nice serve from LeBlanc. Does well again. Kohut now.
And that's the swing that really is helping the Untouchables that the Founders haven't utilized. That high, hard attack off the block and then well out of the reach of the defender.
Molesky has been a bit of a terror with this float serve on the back line, getting a nice couple points on each run. Leaves that one short. That's my fault. I'll take the ownership on that one. Piotr Namioko has covered up a 4-point spread already this match. See if he can do it again or if he's cooled off perhaps a bit. Bump set to the outside. Schickling with one of his first swings. Easy recycle there for Chicago. And Venegas off the hands of Chris Pachinski. 24-19 match point here for the boys in blue. Chicago definitely needs this win, Matt. They're currently in the playoff picture with that 4th spot over on the National Conference side, and a win here brings them to 2-3, and they're going to really continue to build a bit of a stronghold in that 4th spot with Blaze and Pythons behind them. A standing tip from Schickling. Dunn goes on 2. He says, none of my hitters getting it done. I'm going to take care of it here myself. It's in my last name. Ron getting it done. 24-20. Ryan Schickling uses a variety of serves from a hybrid to a float. Opts for his float here. Oh, questionably targeting the well-passing Bregan DeMarco for the Untouchables, but Moises Lopez once again mishandling that ball.
That's 2 set errors from him in this set alone. He's going to get some choice words from his teammates after that one, I think.
Once again, Josh Blair looks like the easy answer. You get a good pass, you go to the big man. There it is, but a low set means Chris Pachinski is in the right spot, gets a great block, and a timeout for Chicago. Starting to worry a little bit, 24-22. Matt, is there enough gas in the tank for Founders, or are we just seeing a couple extra points?
Hard to say. You know, they haven't been playing the strongest brand of volleyball in this match, but they have been good from the inline when it matters most, getting on a couple of runs. We saw it with Namioko. Now Ryan Schickling coming in off the bench to provide that spark. But really for the Untouchables, 2 straight points that, you know, not their best style either. The set dump that just turned into an attack error, then a low set through the middle that, I mean, you called it out. Everyone in the gym knew he was going to go quick even before the play started. Now you've got Kohut in the back row. I would expect him to go overhead or to the Bic.
Stop the blasphemy, Matt. You set the middle. Let him redeem himself. You don't let him get blocked, set someone else, and end on that.
Pass is there. He's going up against the 6'9" middle blocker, so Pachinski doing a nice job. Let's see what happens here on match point.
Dig from Schickling, tight ball. Pachinski trying to wheel and deal in transition. Venegas chisels it, picked up by Lewis. D-ball Namioko off the hands. Easy dig for DeMarco. And there it is. Josh Blair in the middle. I had a bone to pick with Chicago after they didn't set him last time. Noah Chast and I were getting him after him for it, busting their chops back at the hotel. They set him right this time. Let Blair get the job done. Love to see that for him. And in turn, a 3-set win for the Chicago Untouchables. Set number 1, 25-21. Set number 2, 25-18. And the final score there is going to be 25-22 in the third. A great win, Matt, for Chicago Untouchables.
Yeah, it really is all around. They played a strong style of volleyball in this match. Again, showing, really highlighting their physicality. I hate to sound like a broken record, but really that was a differentiator here. Their block and defense was on point. They sided out well. They limited their errors from the inline. You can see that, you know, the work that they're putting into the practice gym really paying off for this team as well. And that was a hugely important win, like you said, over this team from Philadelphia, and hopefully getting some momentum going on their side as this weekend continues and the season marches on.
Yeah, and one of the things I want to look at that I was really impressed with, because we have been impressed by Andrew Kohut. We've been impressed by Josh Blair, by Molesky in the middle. Those have been some mainstays, and no real surprise to see them being successful. But I was very, very happy to see Bregan DeMarco come in, have a great match as libero. I think that was something they were struggling with, a little bit of consistency last event there, and he just really anchored that team down. Also, I have to say, seeing Ramon Matos go to the outside, played a great match, and I think that the role players there really stepped up and rounded this team out very well.
Yeah.
But we are going to see now the man of the match over on the sideline with Haley. Haley, take it away.
Thanks, guys. We have man of the match, Andrew Kohut here. He had 17 kills, 4 blocks, and 1 ace. What was your approach going into today's game?
So as a team, we just had to come in with a chip on our shoulder. We needed a win today. We wanted to win in 3. So as a team, we had to focus our side, focus our fundamentals. They got a couple little pushes on there, but we had to make sure we just focused on us, not on them, and we were able to come back. So it's a good game.
How does it feel getting the win against some familiar faces across the net?
It feels good. It feels good. I've missed Brendan. He's my boy, my college setter. Love the guy. It's fun playing against him. I'm glad he got in there, too. It was nice.
Perfect. Right on. Thank you. Back to you guys.
Well, there it is. You know, that's one of the things we love about the NVA.
Yep.
We've been getting a lot more of these younger faces, and when you grow the league, sometimes off the bat, you're looking to guys that might have been within the last even 8 years college grads. Obviously, you want some of those guys in that peak youth, recent grads that are
Yeah.
also kind of hitting that 2 to 3 years international experience. They're really in their peak and prime, and guys like Andrew Kohut really seeing that. So it's cool to see some of these Belmont Abbey guys, competing. But it's also funny because their head coach, Derek Sullivan, is actually still competing in the league.
Yep.
This year, we're going to see him under a new team. He'll be making his debut this weekend for New Jersey Freedom, formerly of the Orlando Southern Exposure. So
Interesting.
a little bit of a jersey swap over there. So we'll see him later on this weekend. But that was a great win for Chicago all the same. That's going to bring them to 2-3, sitting still in that 4th spot for the National Conference bid to head over to the Event 6 Championship weekend. For everyone at home, that's going to do it. We'll be right back here at 1 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. I'm Nick England. This is Matt Prosser, Haley Henderson on the sideline. Don't go anywhere. We'll see you back here.